Everybody, it's your Self Shift crew back for another early Saturday morning podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about stop waiting for perfect timing, or another way to say that is the myth of waiting for the right time. You got Patrick here, Doug,
Hey, everybody.
Derek,
Hey, good morning, everyone.
and it is actually a quite beautiful Saturday morning here in mid March. Sun's out, it's about 30, let's kind of go 34 degrees. But anyway, so let's go ahead and jump right in here. And I'm going to start with a couple of quotes that I think kind of frame up what we're going to talk about today. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of personal perspective on how I've struggled with this over many, many years. And I actually do struggle with it unless I am completely in tune that I'm dealing with this and take, conscientious action to correct it. But it's still something that I've got to remind myself to deal with. But two quotes that I think kind of frame this up. And this is first one's from Mel Robbins. There will never be a right time. Stop waiting and start doing. I think that's key. And this is another one from Gretchen Rubin, who I'm not actually sure who Gretchen Rubin is, but it is a really good quote. The desire to start something at the right time is usually a justification for delay. In almost every case, the right time to start something is now. And that one super resonates with me because I am historically have been a pathological procrastinator, and I use avoidance historically as a coping mechanism, right? I've gotten much better on both of those, but this subject certainly resonates with me because I am the type of person that will, if I'm not being present, not being mindful, and catch myself and adjust my thinking, will use waiting for perfect timing as an excuse not to do something, right? And as I've corrected that behavior over the last several years, things have actually gotten quite better for me because I catch, that habit loop of, delaying or avoiding, and then it getting, even, waiting for perfect timing, which never comes. The type of the person was, yeah, I'll start that on my birthday, or, if New Year's resolution is a good time to do that, or even something like Pi Day, March 14th, that'd be a really good day to start a new habit or whatever the case may be. Again, that never works. The time to start is now. Doug, what do you think?
I totally agree. Listening to different books and different things like that, I heard about the fresh start effect, which is exactly what you were just saying, is like you equate a birthday or New Year's resolution time or anything like that as the perfect time to start something. So you're sitting around waiting. Ever since I heard that, which was, I think, a couple summers back, listening to an audiobook, I try to catch myself and make sure I don't do that. So I'll say, hey, I'll do that this weekend, or I'll start that thing this weekend. And I try to say, nope, I'm going to start it today. Another, I guess, adding to your quotes, I'll add another quote. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, right? So 1,000 miles is daunting, but taking that first step isn't. And so thinking of any task in that way, any big onerous task, if you can just think about, well, I want to write a book. If I can just write one page, I can get started on that. So a couple comments for you there.
No, good kickoff. Derek.
Yeah, I think the thing thinking about this topic for the week is, I really connected back to that perfection doesn't exist. And the only time you ever have is now. And, it's simple, right? It's very simple, but yet there's a lot of power in that. So when you really start connecting with the fact that there is no perfect scenario, there's no perfect time, there's no perfect opportunity. All you got is now and what's presenting itself in this moment. And so you might as well get started making the best of it. And so that's really what came to me this week, just to keep it again simple. So that's what I would say to lead us out. I think that for me, at times, a barrier, I know we'll get more into that in a few minutes, but complacency, like just getting complacent in life, maybe even losing, based on situations or circumstances that happen, losing some hope, losing some faith. It sort of drags you in that pit of complacency, and that will hinder you from being able to get started with something you want to do or accomplish.
Yep, all very, very good points. So I'm going to double click on a couple of those and actually talk through have incorporated this into my life and some of the benefits, and how a couple of very basic things that I've done, that I remind myself to do on almost a daily basis to prevent myself from falling back into that habit loop of waiting for the perfect time, right? And one of the things that really resonates with me, and as you guys are aware, I've made several life changes or a big life change over the last couple of years, and leaving a job that I had for 25 years to go do an early stage company, um, is that when you don't wait for the perfect time and you take deliberate action now, is that you start living by design and not by default, right? You start actually designing your life the way that you want it to be. And reflecting back over many, many years is, and I, it's amazing to look back that I was living by default. I was basically, although I had a mission, for the most part, or for a lot of the part, other folks, my leaders at work or other people in my life, um, because I was, waiting for perfect timing, I guess. I was living almost as, I don't know what the right term is, um, living based upon the design of others. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Um, and so now that I've, basically took it into gear and have stopped the procrastination and using avoidance as a coping mechanism and start taking decisive action and not waiting for the perfect time, um, a lot of things have changed. I can tell you that I'm personally much happier. And it's not difficult actually to get into. So some of the things that I've done is, for example, progress over perfection. I used to be the type of guy that, when you go to the gym, you immediately try to lift, you do the Arnold Schwarzenegger workout, as opposed to, hey, just start with 10 or 15 minutes, ease into this, start making progress. Even over the last, even if you're not doing things exactly correct, like, I'm an amateur guitarist, not a very good at all, but just the practice, making progress, and things start coming together. One of the things, that even over the last couple of weeks, is I've been trying to get back into, I was an intermittent faster um, for years, right? Or have been, but I got out of it over the last 6 months or so. And unfortunately, I gained some weight. And recognizing that, when you practice it, it actually helps. Is I've been getting back into it over the last, couple of weeks, and, doing 16/8 fasting and that type of thing. And at first, you don't see much results. It takes several days or a week or so. But I weighed myself this morning, and the progress is starting to kick in, right? So just slow, positive steps, going from a 16/8, and then I did a couple of days while I was traveling on business this week with one meal a day. I didn't feel any good results, getting a little bit frustrated, but I weighed myself this morning, and I'm starting to see things kick in. Another key thing that I remind myself is learning through action, right? Is, again, the type of person that I'd like to be a perfectionist. I like to, whatever I'm doing, I want to be the best at it. But in reality, learning by doing is really, really key. That's the only way that you learn, right? Learning a new programming language, Rust, and it's a different paradigm that, some of the languages that I've been using in my past. And you got to type it, you got to, compile it, you got to run it, you got to experience it. That's really how you get into it. And but like with anything in life, I've been getting back into going to the gym, and training for a 5K coming up on June 1st. Is, the first couple of runs, if you haven't run for a while, are pretty painful. But you're getting in, you're actually starting to move and that type of thing. Another key thing that ties into that is iterative improvement, right? Iterating on something. Some of the analogies I've already used here is, but when you start iterating and just keep practicing, keep grinding on it, things become better. Things become better, and you get more confidence, and the desire to avoid or procrastinate kind of goes away. So let's hit some personal experiences. Derek, what about you?
Yeah, I think all great points there, Patrick. The thing I'd say is it's really like, as I was thinking about this, I thought about, agile, really building an agile life, in a sense. And so for me, it's really about, setting goals, small tasks within a day. So maybe there's a big goal you want to align to. So outlining all the tasks that's going to lead you to that goal, and like taking one or two of those tasks a day and executing them, just delivering it, right? And really, uh, in a sense, it's at first it's almost like forcing yourself to complete the task. But as you get into it and as you get connected to what you're trying to accomplish and you get connected to that purpose, and maybe there's a particular passion behind that, that will propel you forward. And also in that you start honoring what's important to you, and that gets connected into what you're valuing about leading you forward. And so that's what I would say is it's just about like what is it you're trying to accomplish, and then setting one or two tasks a day that's going to propel you forward, and making yourself at first in a sense forcing yourself to do it, to make time to do it, a priority to do it, and making it happen. That's really what I've tried to adapt to in my life over the last several years.
Doug?
Yeah, I think it hasn't been that many years since I learned about like the growth mindset, as far as like trying to do things, and when you experience failure or you don't ultimately succeed, recognizing that like even just attempting to do it, I learned something from that. Like looking at like how I went about it and thinking about different ways to go about it or what I'd do different next time. um, Basically the experience is just as valuable as the outcome I thought I wanted. So, just really kind of focusing on that. And, where I've seen that play out some is with kids, as they're younger and other things. I don't know about you all, but sometimes you're trying to convince them to try to do something and they're thinking about all the ways that it won't work or the ways that they'll fail. And, they will come at you with the, why should I even try? Why should I do that? It'll never work. And um, again, I think that's the growth mindset to say, well, you get the experience of trying, and you'll learn from it. So playing that out into later life when you're going for jobs and you're going through the process of applying, and sometimes you hear back, sometimes you don't, and then sometimes you get an interview and you go through the interview and you're nervous about the interview, but it's really I had my older son was trying to get an internship and having a series of interviews and things like that. And it's like, well, what did you learn from that interview? What that you can use in the next interview? And he learned about, preparing and thinking, anticipating certain questions and different things like that. So, it's really about like not being afraid to fail, just giving it a shot. Why not? Why not try instead of why try?
Yeah, I think overcoming fear, that's key, right? And taking action. And a couple of, just to riff on what you're both saying there. Derek, you mentioned, small things. We're going to accomplish this today. Taking positive action is so key, right? And Derek, Doug, you mentioned the same thing. Taking some action, right? Moving forward at least a step, and the steps become 2 and 3 and 4 over the subsequent time. And that aligns really quickly with the James Clear book, Atomic Habits, where he talks about habit stacking. I don't know that he invented habit stacking, but that's one of the things that I like to consider is, for example, adding a small habit onto something that you actually do. Well, like when you're going to get the mail, don't just get the mail, walk a couple of blocks down or whatever and come back, that type of thing. Just that type of momentum. The other thing that I think ties into this is identity-based habits, right? And I've adopted the kind of the identity mindset is that I'm not a procrastinator. That's not who I am. Or I'm not using avoidance as a coping mechanism. That's not who I am. I'm this person. And once you start identifying with that, then these things become much much easier, right? And the other thing, Doug, kind of riffing on what you were saying there is, with the son and the interviewing stuff and the growth mindset, is that one of the key things that I found as I've made progress and not waiting for perfect timing is you also become much more adaptable, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that, hey, yeah, I can deal with this. This situation is not catastrophic. I can actually move forward. Had a situation this week, right, where so this happened, and I knew that I needed to reach out to this person during the day to do some. It's a teachable moment, right? And then I found that little voice kind of creeping in. Oh, I can wait till tomorrow. This is not the right time. Then catching that habit loop and saying, nope, I got 5 minutes before my next meeting, Slack, jump on a call. Hey, thank you for your, passion and go and motivation for the organization. I appreciate the passion. I appreciate where that's coming from, but we probably should have handled it this way. And it was fine. It was a fine conversation. So in the past, Patrick, before his had that identity shift, probably would have waited several days, which would have made the conversation even more cumbersome and would have lost context. So I don't know if you guys have had other little experiences or whatever that you want to throw out there, but I find myself, as I tie all of these things together, and we've talked about it before. They're key things in life, and we've got it on our, our principles list, that are not that difficult to do, and this is one of those. Right? Don't wait for the perfect time. I know, Doug, I've talked about it before. I used to say, I'm waiting for an epiphany. There are no epiphanies. There's action. There's small actions that get things done. Derek, what do you think?
I think, my journey in life, I think I've connected a little differently with what you're saying with epiphanies, that I feel like as you live life and you go through different circumstances, like you may have some form of trauma, or you may go through a divorce like what I did, or you have challenges in raising kids, disconnect with your kids. They don't, challenges with communication, challenges with maybe they're holding on to something from the past. All those things on the journey, you're always waiting. Well, there's going to be a moment in time where just like, it's like a lightning strikes it all and it's all going to go away. No, I think the thing that is happening as you go on that journey is the universe is calling you to become conscious in that moment of what's happening. And in that awareness, you begin to see that maybe things you don't want anymore and things that you do want. I think that as you live life, there's no epiphanies. It's just a matter of every little thing that's happening, or big thing that's happening, is leading you to a spot of new presence, awareness, of what's going on in your life. And then and then you have opportunities. Certain people come into your life and give you wisdom. Certain people come into your life and bring negativity, and you have to decipher that in that new presence of awareness and figure out what it is that you want or how you're going to go forward, to move to align to the life that you want to live. And I think that's what I've come to understand about epiphanies, which that don't exist. It's just a matter of life circumstances is bringing you into a new awareness.
Well said. Well said. Doug?
Yeah, I think the people that know me well, my wife, my kids, they would tell you that they would look at me and say, like, Doug's really impatient. Like he has a lot of urgency. He wants things to happen and happen quickly, and he struggles with that. So in some ways, it feels a little impostery to stand up here and say, like, start taking action, be patient, and learn from the journey as you go along. But to your point on adaptability and other things, as we grow, we learn different ways to deal with things. And again, I've learned how to kind of be more mindful and recognize I'm reacting. I'm reacting, and the reality of the situation doesn't call for the things I'm doing. And so I guess I'm saying all this in the context of being patient, in terms of seeing the progress along the lines of what you were saying earlier. Within this, you got to get started. The best time to start is now. You got to take small steps to lead towards bigger actions, and then you have to be patient to see the bigger set of progress. So I think a lot of kids today, all of us, are caught up in a world of immediate gratification.
Yep.
So I want to take an action. I want to have immediate results and feel immediate pleasure or whatever. And so it's hard to convince them that if you do these small things, like my kids as an example, if you do these small things, it will add up and you will see, like, again, with my younger son, talking about you're headed in the right direction. Maybe you're not going as fast as you want, but you're headed in the right direction. So anyways, a lot of different sort of thoughts scrambled together there, but being patient, taking action now, it all adds up.
It does. I'm going to go back to a children's story, the tortoise and the hare, right? Kind of what you were describing there with your son. And, thinking about it is if you look at people who are just enormously successful, they tend to they learn, they progress, they grind over time. The Jeff Bezos of the world and other folks like that, have a mission, stay on task, slow, steady progress. Well, in the case of Jeff Bezos, it was enormous progress at the end. But, those are the types of foes as opposed to the one, what do they call them? The one hit wonders or whatever, who jump in, flash pan or whatever that term is. The success, at least personally, I can tell you that implementing these things in a slow, steady state, like you were describing, Doug, it's just enormously valuable for me. And I did note in my book that you have a history of being impatient. Knowing you for 20 years, I can vouch for that as well. I'm sure Derek can
Just
as well.
just take a drive with me where I'm
Yeah.
yelling at other drivers.
Yeah, I've had that experience, man.
So
I've had
does
that experience.
road rage happens in the midst of impatience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, leading into that, I know we're getting close on time here, and talking about patience. Um, we've said this at almost the end of almost every one of our podcasts, and I'm going to modify it slightly here. But I think it really ties into our overall mission here at SelfShift, right? Bringing these concepts and values to folks is accepting what is, accepting it as it is, aligning with your core values, and taking committed action now, not tomorrow, not in your birthday, not on St. Patrick's Day. Now, that committed action that aligns with those core values, right? I think that is a way maybe to summarize a lot of what we talked up today. So,
And be kind to yourself.
dude, I was going to save that for the end, man. You can say it
I
again
thought
at
this
the
was
end, but
the end.
absolutely. Any parting thoughts, Derek?
I think we should all pinch ourselves because none of us have green on today for St. Patty's Day.
That is
So
true.
Tomorrow is St.
Tomorrow,
Patrick's
St.
Day.
Patrick's Day, dude.
oh well, it's a lot of celebration today, and so we didn't bring our spirit of St. Patty's Day to our podcast today. That's all good. So yeah, I think I can't really sum it up any better than that. I think one thing I'll say is you have a choice in a moment of facing life. Fear. I think somebody mentioned fear. Patrick, maybe it was you talking about fear. I would just encourage you. You have a choice on the path. Face everything and retreat, or face everything and rise. And when you think about fear from that context, the choice is yours. So choose today what you want and what's best for you. And hopefully it's rising. And so that's what I'll leave with today.
Perfect. Doug, parting thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just say embrace the journey. Always be curious, always be learning. And so that means learning from actions you attempted to do and failed, but keep on trying, keep on going, and start now. The best time to start is now, and be kind to yourself.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We're going to wrap up today, and we look forward to our next session. Have a great week. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Later.